Welcome everyone. This is V. I'm coming back to you with another video. And the topic of this video is Going Beyond the Veil Part 2. And so, what we're doing now, we're elevating her consciousness today once again, because consciousness is divine power. Okay? So, the church is closed, the school is closed, and the prison is open. So that brings me back with a question right there. If the church is closed, the school is closed, and the prison is open. So as we discussed before, okay, first I want to say that this information is for entertainment and educational value only. Please do your research. So we are in a middle of a paradigm shift. Matter of fact, the paradigm shift is well on its way right now. And we've already discussed in previous videos in regards to the computer age, which has in the 1980s, when that all started, it catapulted us into where we are right now. And when you think about it, what took place, even back then, there were a lot of people that got left behind. Okay, when you think about being left behind, sometimes we want to think of, something what the scripture says about it, but in the end of the day, people really got left behind back then because they weren't ready for the computer technology age back then, and people got, lost jobs, or they just couldn't keep up because in a lot of ways, and if you did your research on that, you can go back there and probably find, a lot of reasons why people were left behind due to the computer, the changes, because people didn't know how to get on with these computers. Okay, now we're facing an even greater change as discussed before, with the job losses, the economic crisis, which is, has been a recurrent theme in all of these paradigm shifts. And it's just been just an overall change in how business is being done, climate change, and the like. Okay, so now we're facing, like I would say, would have to even be a greater shift or a bigger shift. Okay, all right, and so if the school is closed, you think, so have we been miseducated? Is one of the questions I would ask. Have we been miseducated since the schools are being closed? And maybe we need to change how we're teaching the children. Maybe we need to really put some of the history, the true history, back in the books, or put the real books back, or because I know that a lot of parents feel like a lot of things that's even being taught in school today, they feel like it's not really what they're aligned with, and that what they think that their child should be learning. I remember when my children were going to school, how how we had to put so much effort into, the school, because when you look back, back before when I was in school, we didn't have to really bring a lot of things to school, but, we had to keep more and more. We had to be bringing things to the school, or just contributing more and more, because the school just didn't have enough of what they needed. So there's a paradigm shift there. There's a big change there. When I think about the church, the church, do we need to rethink that as well? Because when you think about what it's based upon, in a lot of ways, like the scriptures, a lot of scriptures has been, and we'll show this later, where the truth has been mingled with untruth in the scriptures. Okay, there are some books that are there, and then some books that are missing. Okay, so it's a lot of things that how we've been doing things. And then you think about the prison. Maybe a lot of people in the prison are innocent that's been in the prison. That's the way I'm looking at it. Reason why the prison is open, because some people probably been sitting there, like, for example, I think about marijuana, right? I remember back in the day when marijuana was like, people had marijuana growing all around, and people got arrested for that. But today, it's $1 billion industry. Not because it was something bad, but because marijuana is a medicinal plant that people could use for pain, that will take away their pain and has no side effects. Once you take that, if you are in pain or what have you. So those are a lot of missed things. There's a lot of things that's been upside down that need to be turned right side up. This is how I'm approaching this situation. Reason why the church is closed and the school is closed and the prison is open. Now, the teaching that God is something also that is just so far apart from a person. Like we were talking about in going beyond the veil part 1, I was talking about that your body is a temple, which when you really begin to focus on your body being a temple, it really kind of changes how you think about God. You're more apt to go within yourself and ask more of yourself. You're more to you expect more out of yourself. Right now, I think it's a lot of people that suffer from low self-esteem and all these things because they're praying for some God to come save them from this, or some great God outside of themselves to come and do most of the things that they can do themselves. So they limit themselves, and then they go around and complain about other people who had a bigger dream or a bigger idea or a larger dream for themselves, when they could have been dreaming the same thing, or they could have been asking of themselves, greater of themselves, to be able to do bigger things for themselves. That's just one way of looking at it. Maybe we need to change how we're really looking at God, instead of expecting God to do most of the things for them that you could do that you're supposed to do for yourself. That's just one way of looking at it. Okay, God is, it's really like a holistic perspective that you need to take. In a lot of ways, I'm thinking, because see, the holism tells you the sum is greater than its parts. Say for example, if my body here, I really need like my arm, my leg, for my whole body to function, in its all of its fullness. And so that just goes to show you how breaking things apart, instead of pulling ourselves apart, we need to continue to think of the wholeness of everything. So, and like I said, it really kind of redirects us in a lot of ways. And that's just another way of thinking, in a positive light as to the changes that we're facing. And so we go to we're in search of the divine. So the divine, let's define what divine means. Divine, from or like God or a God. Okay. And divination, the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means. Okay. And sorcery is magical powers gained through evil spirits. And I know when I think about a lot of things, when you look at the church, there are a lot of these things that you're going to see on this document right here that, has sort of been demonstrated to be something that is bad. For example, sorcery. We're looking at sorcery. Now, sorcery is the magical powers gained through evil spirits. So sorcery is different from being divination. You see, a lot of ways. Now, sorcery, like I said, is something that a person will use to harm another person. They're using magical power through evil spirits to harm someone or to do something personal to someone. Whereas divination, on the other hand, is the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means, which is, I would think, would have to be, you know, not a bad thing. Okay, but when you hear the word divination, you automatically, it's like, you're thinking it's something really, really bad. But it's not the same as sorcery. Now, I wanted to talk about this here with the reality of the New Age movement, which I think a lot of times that's misconstrued as well, because there are a lot of things on here. You could read all these names on here, but we'll be covering some of them. I'll be covering the astrology, and let's see what it is. What else in here? Mainly, that's the one I'll be covering, is the astrology, pretty much. But like I said, when we'll get to the next slide, we'll be able to see just a little bit more as to what we're talking about. So this shift is taking place. So let's go ahead and define what the age of Aquarius 2021 is. So in the age of Aquarius, the power is turning over to the individual and giving the freedom for you to choose your own reality based on what aligns with your soul. Okay? Age of Aquarius 2021, a power shift. So this age of Aquarius 2021 is moving in alignment with this paradigm shift that is taking place. And rather than looking at it in a negative light, I think we need to open up and elevate our consciousness to be able to see where this is more of there are a lot of positive aspects to this, because if the focus is coming off of the God that is way far out, who is coming to save you, which may or may not, because I know Jesus been coming back for a very, very long time, and in a matter of fact, he's come, okay. But in the end of the day, this is just another way of redirecting your thoughts on what this paradigm shift or this power shift is all about. So the age of Aquarius has been associated with the hippies of the 1960s and 70s, and often within the New Age movement. Okay, so the age of Aquarius and the New Age movement does not have to be one and the same. It does not have to be one and the same. So please get that clear. In both cases, the arrival of the age has been associated with harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding. And that brings us to the 1967 smash hit musical Hair, with its opening song Aquarius, by a musical group called the Fifth Dimension. The song opened with the lines, "When the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars." This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. So the age of Aquarius 2021, Saturn and Jupiter. So when we're looking there before, there was some mention about astrology. So here we have like something look like this is something somewhat of an ancient picture here of what looks like a ring of a tree. If you cut a tree down, you will see the rings, and it kind of shows the rings usually represent like the age of the tree, and it looks like what you have, like these people are being born. It looks kind of like, but this is just, I put this in here because there's a lot of like I said, demonstration that says that this is a bad thing, which when in the ancient days, the people had to have some way that they navigated the earth, or they, and knowing about themselves. And so this what this picture represents. And I'm moving along to this next slide here. Is showing that the universe is consciousness. Okay, so you have here the nebula and neurons. So it's a comparison between the nebula, which is in the universe or in the heavens, and neurons. They also have the glial cells, which is on the right here, versus the millennium simulation of the universe. So in your body, this one picture at the bottom here on the right is your actual, this is human glial cells or neurons here. And then as you can see, this whole universe and out in the cosmos looks just like an eye, an eye, which is just like our eyes pretty much. And we talked about how you're just a microscopic reflection of the universe itself. Consciousness, awareness, neuroscience, quantum physics, evolution, development, unconscious mind. So, the human brain's neural network has similarities to cosmic web. So you can go to that site there, that link, and learn more about all of this. I found another picture here of an astrological chart, which is ancient. When I think about it, I grew up, we grew up reading our horoscopes and everything. But when we joined into the church, it was somewhat forbidden. Said it was a really bad thing. But astrology, the study of the movements and relative position of celestial bodies, interpreted as having an influence on human affairs and the natural world. So if you're a microscopic reflection of the cosmos, of the universe, wouldn't you think it would be important for you to observe some of the celestial bodies up there to find out, to know a little bit more about yourself? That's just an entire receipt and evidence. Okay, so it makes sense that you would, but maybe somebody don't want people to know about this, because there are people knowing about this and they're practicing these things, and they are manifesting more things than you're manifesting. Why? Because you don't even know about it. And I just found this here. I just put this in here because so this see what a definition of a star is. So a planet or a configuration of the planets that is held in astrology to influence one's destiny or future, usually used in plural. So you can study this and look at this. I think it will be important for you to know, because like I said, when you look at the Bible, there's a lot of things, like I said, has been removed from there. It's not in there. But I did find this scripture said, Luke 21:25-33, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the stars and in the moon and the stars. So what you think they have the telescope for? So they can look up there for signs, okay? It's not just for you to look up in the sky. It says the redemption draweth nigh. But you need to be looking up there really with some real tools and different things, which is, makes a whole lot of sense to me, but, put a comment below. Let me know what you think. I went ahead on and added this slide here, showing that how the elements, which is air, water, fire, and earth, are aligned with the signs. And this is the 12 signs. There are 12 signs here. And, why are there 12? Why are there 12 signs? Think about that. Put a comment below. Let me know what you think about all these signs here. And maybe you might want to know what's your birth date, and how you align with some of these elements. right, so finally we get here. I wanted to talk further about scripture, and as I was introducing this video, I talked about, some of the untruths and how things were kind of mixed in together, and I was going to bring forth some receipts in regards to some of these untruths and some of these things that are not aligning with all the receipts and evidence, empirical evidence at that we've been studying over the course of all these videos when it comes down to consciousness, and also the sacred, divine, and sacred geometry, and the sacred divine. And so the Kemet is the name of the native African people of the country now known as Egypt, called themselves in their surviving writings. So many scholars refer to the people as Kemet or Kemet. The surviving artifacts of the Kemet viziers and scribes evidence that Kemet rule of law was Ma'at, contained at least in part is observing the 42 laws of Ma'at. So we have on the left the Christian ideology, and on the right we have the Kemetic wisdom. Now, when I was studying a lot of this and looking up a lot of these information, basically, it was said that most of the religions are in alignment, have derived a lot of their religions from the Kemetic wisdom. Okay, and so I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I want to point out just the first. We're going to just read the first on each side. So starting with the Christian ideas. So the Christian ideology, which is aligned with the Bible and so forth, says that God is the creator of all things, separate and different from his creation. An example is created Adam and created Eve from Adam's rib. So basically, the patriarchal society says that God took a rib from Adam and created Eve, or created the woman. Versus the Kemetic wisdom says that consciousness is prima materia. It is all. The one, out of the one comes all. From atom, atum, comes the great Enid, the nine who are one, and it's based all on a matriarchal society. So my question to you is, if you've seen any place because I've worked around different hospitals, went around, and I've never seen anybody take a rib and create a woman, a rib of a man and create a woman. Put a comment below if you've seen that anywhere. I definitely haven't, but every boy and every girl child that I know comes out of a woman's vagina. Now, if you've seen that anywhere, let me know, because I have not seen it. Okay, and that's one thing that you have to realize when you're doing a lot of research and everything, because if somebody tells you something, even I don't care what book it is, if somebody tells you something like this here, and you don't see it, you don't see nothing being practiced today that shows you that, because there's really nothing new under the sun. That's from the scriptures as well. The scripture said there's nothing new under the sun. Like I said, there are a lot of good scriptures, and a lot of stuff is in there is true, but it's mixed, like I said, with a lot of untruth as well. So, and then, like I said, a lot of things is symbolic, which is the reason why you need to be able to decipher or cipher through to see what is truth and what is not truth. Okay, but this patriarchal society is versus the matriarchal society. Okay, there's a lot of receipts for this Kemetic wisdom, but there I don't see any receipts for a lot of things that's being taught in the Christian ideology. Okay, and that's just facts. You can read the rest of this, and but I'm gonna go ahead on and move on because I'm sure there's a lot more that could be discovered and be unveiled here. I is the ninth letter in the alphabet, and as you noticed on the matriarchal society over that on that side, the Kemetic wisdom, the nine is saying the nine. So it's all about this nine code, this nine, which when you turn it upside down, it's a six, which is a number of man. Okay, and so you're six, but then you're a nine as well, because all you need to do is turn it right side up, which is the nine. So that's what you have to be doing. You have to doing a lot of things, and you have to reverse a lot of things. You have to turn a lot of things right side up, because a lot of things are being turned upside down in regards to a lot of things we've been learning in school and in the church and in the Bible. Okay, and you have to know you have to know that there are things that are symbolic. You have a lot of the meanings are symbolic rather than just straight up what it's just saying by words. Because when you think about, we didn't have language, but there was always numbers, and there was always like numbers, numerology, and you need to think about numerology, and astrology is important, and it was important in the ancient days, and it's important today. Okay, and we're going to get further into this. So be strong, but strong meat belongeth to them that are full of age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. The nine in time, the 1,440, there's 1,440 minutes in a day. Again, there's 1,440 minutes in a day, and it all adds up. If you add that all up, it's 9, because in numerology you have to always reduce, you have to always get the root number, which means take out the zeros, add everything up. So numbers are alive and govern the universe. Like I said, I'm going to repeat this again because this is important. That before, in ancient times, there was no language, but they always had numbers. There was always numerology. They always observed the stars. They always use astrology, birth times, and different things. But this is one other part where I want to go in regards to things that we're being taught that are maybe scriptural, that is symbolic, and that is in Revelation 7:4. It says, "Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel." Now, certainly you can count all that and everything, but when you think about the symbology that's in here, do you really actually think there's only 144,000 that are going to be a part of the great multitude? Because in the very next scripture it says, the great multitude that was in white robes. He said, "After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count." So again, here you need to do your numerology, because it's talking about the 9 code, and I'm just going to call it the 9 code, because the code is important when it comes down to everything. Um, for it says from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. They were wearing white robes and were holding palm branches in their hands. So the 9 has to do with the one. It is all, like it said in the Kemetic wisdom. Okay, so that's just the end of that story. Because I've heard all kinds of different um, scenarios about who is 144,000, who are they, and basically, I do think that it has a lot of relevance, to 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 the people who are aware of this knowledge. Because if you don't know about it, if you don't know it, if you don't know this, and you don't know all this is symbolic, then you might not be one of them because you don't believe in it. Because then again, your consciousness is not aware of all these things because you don't believe it, and so you think it's just 144,000, and they're just somebody, But it says right in the next verse, it says, "After this I look, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count." Okay, so it's a great multitude that no one can count. The 9. You know what I'm saying? You know how important numerology is, to us and to, to our being and everything. If you go back and look at some of the videos and how those cells multiply and so forth, your DNA and how that's, that code. The DNA is something, so because even the scripture says the life of the body is in the blood, and in the blood, and so and that's where your DNA is in your blood, and that's the code which carries the code of life to you to be able to replicate, to make more of you. Okay, you have to have the code, and where does the code lie? Creation starts here. This is where the code lies, right here. Because when you have the code, the first in this slide. So this is the actual slide from A to D. A shows the cell when it's like one cell, and it multiplies to become 2. And then you have here in slide B, and this is a real human cell. Okay, and when in slide B you show there's the vesicle Pisces, which is what is showing here, and this creation start here. This is the matriarchal. This is the feminine, or let me just say the matriarchal wisdom here, because this is mainly from the feminine. These symbols here are made from the feminine aspect. And so when the cells keep multiplying and it get bigger. And if you go back to some of those other slides of the other videos where we show the sacred geometry, you will see these. I mean, you won't see all of them, but as you can see, this is the process that the cells go through. Flower of life. The quality or state of being aware, especially of something within oneself. Again, know thyself. Okay? You need to know yourself in the aspect of the hidden man, which is, part of you that for the most part you can't see with the naked eye. Okay? And I like to say right here is that you're not just born in sin, but you're born to win. Why? Because when you're born, you have everything that you need for life. Okay? And the life of the body is in the blood, the scripture says. Okay, that's in the scriptures. The life of the body is in the blood. And so what's in the blood? Your DNA is in your blood, which is what replicates, which is the code that replicates to make more of you. Okay? And we talked about that previously as well. But so basically, I just want you to know you're born to win. Okay? You're not just born in sin, you're born to win, because you have everything you need for life when you're born. Okay, so here we have the 9 fruits of the Spirit. I just put this slide in here because I really want to remind those people who want to maintain these old paradigms. There are people who want to maintain these old paradigms because there are a lot of people are under control or under the spell of the old paradigms, which is a lot is mixed and mingled with untruth, as we discussed. Okay, so the 9 fruits of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Okay, self-control. And so, like I said, just to remind, because there's a lot of controversy and a lot of things that we're struggling with in our society today due to this powerful shift that's taking place, is because people want to maintain these old paradigms. But in the end of the day, it's going away, and there's nothing we probably going to be able to do about it. Okay, it's already it's undertaken right now. All right. All right, we're gonna wrap up this video. Just want to put a little bit more emphasis on numerology here and the 36 weeks of pregnancy, which is in line with the matriarchal or the Kemetic wisdom, which is the feminine. So 3 plus 6 is 9. So do your numerology. Anytime you have numbers that you need to find the root, you just need to go and add them up. So you see a 9 to the left here. All right, 36 weeks. 3 plus 6 is 9. 2 plus 5 plus 2 is 9. 252 days. It's been that long. Okay, it's been that long. The world has come to an end as we know it. Money is coming to an end as we know it. Money is energy. See, we already have the internet of data, which we talked about, and when the computer age came about. But now we're going to have the internet of value, which is a greater shift, a greater paradigm shift, a greater power shift. Okay, and we've been talking about this throughout all the videos. Just to wrap this up, but please enjoy the rest of this video. Stay tuned for the next video. Go on beyond the veil, part 3. Okay, and enjoy the rest of this video. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you.